Chairman Nadler talked about treacherous. At about 12:10 a.m. on January 22nd, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee at this body, on the floor of this Senate, said executive privilege and other nonsense. Now think about that for a moment. Executive privilege and other nonsense. Mr. Nadler, it is not nonsense. These are privileges recognized by the Supreme Court of the United States.
Trump's lawyer wasn't playing around. In a fiery Senate floor moment, he shut down Jerry Nadler's claims, called out hypocrisy, and defended executive privilege with the Constitution in hand. This intense exchange shook American political ecosystem and exposed deep, partisan fault lines. Let's dive in.
The president is on trial in the Senate, but the Senate is on trial in the eyes of the American people. Will you vote to allow all of the relevant evidence to be presented here? Or will you betray your pledge to be an impartial juror? Will you bring Ambassador Bolton here? Will you permit us to present you with the entire record of the president's misconduct? Or will you instead choose to be complicit in the president's cover-up? So far, I'm sad to say, I see a lot of senators voting for a cover-up, voting to deny witnesses, an absolutely indefensible vote, obviously a treacherous vote, a vote against an honest consideration of the evidence against the president, a vote against an honest trial, a vote against the United States. A real trial, we know, has witnesses. We urge you to do your duty, permit a fair trial. All the witnesses must be permitted. That's elementary in American justice. Either you want the truth, or you must permit the witnesses, or you want a shameful cover-up. History will judge, and so will the electorate.
Chairman Nadler talked about treacherous. At about 12:10 a.m. on January 22nd, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee at this body, on the floor of this Senate, said executive privilege and other nonsense. Now think about that for a moment. Executive privilege and other nonsense. Mr. Nadler, it is not nonsense. These are privileges recognized by the Supreme Court of the United States. And to shred the Constitution on the floor of the Senate, to serve what purpose? The Senate is not on trial. The Constitution doesn't allow what just took place. Look what we've dealt with for the last now 13 hours. And we hopefully are closing the proceedings, but not on a very high note. Only guilty people try to hide evidence. So I guess when President Obama instructed his Attorney General to not give information, he was guilty of a crime. That's the way it works, Mr. Nadler? Is that the way you view the United States Constitution? Because that's not the way it was written. That is not the way it's interpreted. And there's not the way the American people should have to live. I'll tell you what's treacherous. Come to the floor of the Senate and say executive privilege and other nonsense.
Trump's legal team didn't hold back. Jay Sekulow in particular absolutely torched Congressman Jerry Nadler right on the Senate floor. I'm talking about facts, fire, and full-on Constitution defense mode. Now let's talk about what this whole showdown really means. Trump's team was defending constitutional limits. Not just the president, but the system itself. They weren't saying, we don't want justice. They were saying, let's do this by the book. And when Nadler stood up and said executive privilege and other nonsense, it wasn't just a jab, it was a dismissal of constitutional protections. That's a line you don't just cross. That's a line you bulldoze over, and this lawyer wasn't letting it slide. At the end of the day, this exchange between Trump's lawyer and Jerry Nadler wasn't just personal. It was symbolic. One side claimed treachery, the other called out hypocrisy. And the American people? We got a front row seat to the ultimate constitutional chess match. So now it's your turn. Who made the stronger case? Was it Nadler, standing for what he called justice, or Trump's lawyer, defending the structure of our government? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe if you want more breakdowns, more drama, and more truth in the middle of all this noise. See you in the next one.